Hello, I'm Flopin. I'm a demo singer since 2016 and mostly doing Shader Showdown contest. I'm the winner of Revision 2020 in that category, and I'm also a member of the Cookie Collective, a non-profit organization putting together digital art festival around demo scene, etc. And you're listening to Scene World podcast.
It's the Scene World podcast.
Exactly.
Just say it at the same time, podcast. I'm AJ. He's Jörg.
Yes, and in a minute we will talk to Naomi Sample, also known as Witschi.
Yes.
A very much known composer, artist in Germany, and this will be the interview. But before that, some news.
Which he has all of because I've been up to my eyeballs in work.
So okay. Yeah. Well,
ask
me about it.
Yes. So, what news do you have?
Well, people asked me a lot, like, did you get your Turrican collection special edition yet from Strictly Limited? No, I didn't. So I asked them. I sent them an email, and I got a reply a few days ago that's saying, "Hi there. You have been working a lot in the last couple of weeks and months on Turrican and have a lot to show you. That's why we have sent out a newsletter a few weeks ago showing the new exclusive map feature as well as the score attack mode and other awesome stuff. In addition, we gave a small bonus for the soundtrack. We still need a little bit more time to polish all these features to bring them to shine. It is very important to us to send out Turrican and the collector's edition only when they keep up with the high quality standards. And we think that waiting a little bit longer is worth the wait when the final product is awesome." Well, can't disagree here.
Okay.
We will send out another newsletter soon with more precise information about shipping date as well as taking deeper look into the announced feature. We thank you all for your patience and support. Best regards, Paolo from Strictly Limited Games. So that's it.
Okay.
Let's hope that info comes before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes, and also what a lot of people asked us in the comment section of our Franze interview was, how about getting their copy of Peprium that they ordered in 2017 or in January 2021? Mm-hmm. And during the Kickstarter in the comment section, you could read that Watermelon said that those copies are all being shipped after the Kickstarter is done. So that means you will all get your copies in 2022. Fair enough. So far, that's what friends and community people asked us, because we are known to keep our balls into stuff and penetrating people with questions and getting answers. So,
okay,
not you, perhaps me. Yeah. Anyway, I like
where you put your balls is your business. I have nothing to do with that.
Well, as you said, you are balls deep into work, and I said yes. I'm balls deep into writing emails and complaining to people.
Yes.
Right. Well, and other news. The last bit of news I have: the Yandex gaming competition is back,
so soon.
Now it's multi-platform.
I feel like we just talked about it.
And guess what? One of the panel judge members is John Romero.
Oh, okay.
Yes, who is the Doom guy, as people call him.
Obviously.
And
husband of Brenda Romero, who we spoke to a couple of months ago.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the situation right now. That would be all from my side. So let's jump to Mike Witschi.
Yes, sir.
So today we have another guest, like in all podcasts, and today it's Mike Witschi, also known as Naomi Sample. Hello,
Hi.
Mike.
Hello.
Personally, with you, I've been in touch since many, many years. I think it must be 16 years or something.
Wow.
Going back to our old email exchanges. And you are actually a chip musician.
Yeah,
So,
kind of.
and yeah, and you are also releasing, like recently on a music cassette, an MC.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and also today we have Dennis Karimani with us, our very own Dennis, because he is the
Remute.
music expert, Remute, the music
Alright.
expert in this
A
group.
little bit expert, not too much.
A little bit. Oh,
A
push.
little bit, a
A
little
little
bit. Okay, good. Because he will help AJ and I, so we don't
Yes.
ask too stupid questions.
And
Hopefully.
is that a bass guitar sticking up from behind you, sir?
Yes, it's a bass guitar. Yeah.
Ah, very nice, very nice. I have a
Let's see.
broken fender behind me.
Broken. Oh,
Yes.
sad.
It's just there for decoration.
Yeah, this too.
Did you use it to defend yourself?
Sometimes.
It looks very nice in the background. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
This looks good. Yeah.
Covers the
I
corner.
also have a guitar somewhere here just to pose. I can't play the guitar, but
I can't
I
either.
thought about-
I learned how to tune mine like 2 weeks ago, finally, after
can you
having it
guys
for
play-
several
can you guys
years.
play actually bass guitar?
Sorry?
Can you play bass guitar? Do you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can play bass guitar, but not that good. I'm not good in any instrument, really.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the beginnings. How did you get in touch with, the music, the computers, retro? How did that all start with you?
Oh, it started with me with all this retro chiptune stuff when it wasn't really retro, and because my first computer I got was one of my first computers was a Commodore 64. Yeah, when I was 13, I think. I got in touch with it when I was 10, and I got my own when I was 13, and then I started programming in BASIC and explored some trackers like Sound Monitor from Chris Hülsbeck and started making my own chip tunes when they in a time when nobody called it chip tunes. It was just music because it was up to date to use this stuff.
Yeah.
No, not really, but I made my first tracks with Sound Monitor from Chris Hülsbeck, and so I learned to love the sound of the SID chip, and it never. I'm stuck with it since I'm 13. Now 30 years.
So you began
Since-
more as a kind of I always call this like kind of music programmer instead of musician. Do you consider yourself a real musician or more a music programmer? Because
No,
I think when using trackers, it's like programming. a little bit.
yeah, it's like programming. No, and it's not really like programming. I think it's. I started playing guitar when I was
Okay.
9, 10, and it was another instrument for me because
see.
I never thought about programming something. I wrote songs in my mind since eight times the C, 8 times the E, and something
okay.
like bass lines, and I programmed it with the tracker. It's not,
Interesting.
and so I realized the songs I already wrote on the Commodore 64. So
There was
Yeah.
a time when musicians on the 64 had to code their own software to run it because
Yes.
the software didn't exist yet for the music. So, but that when you started doing it, it was beyond that. There were trackers and
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah, they were the first trackers, and I'm not able to program in machine code or something like that. Just using the software. Is my
Interesting. So you rather started as a real musician than with guitar.
Yeah, with 10, 11, 12, 13, you're not a real musician. You learn some
Okay.
notes and some guitar chords from your from your uncle or something like that. But yeah.
Okay.
I like how you say that it's just another instrument for you, because that's kind of how I've always felt with. I was a graphics guy. I still am a graphics guy, and people ask, why do you still use the 64 to do it? And my answer has always been, that's just what some people use. Pencils or charcoal or paint or whatever. It's like I use the C64. I like the limitations and the size and all the stuff that you can do with it, and it's just another tool to me.
Yeah, it's just another tool. I really thought about the limitations of it all very late, much more later than other people, because I started using it when I didn't thought about limitations. I've seen a maximum of options. So, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Awesome.
But there have been times when I thought, okay, 64 is enough now, and I just play in rock bands and something like that. And some 8, 9, 10 years later, I restarted using this stuff because I missed it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Like Rob Hubbard did the same thing. He went and started teaching at a university, I believe, for music theory and all that. And then at some point, he realized years later that he missed the chip stuff, and he came back and made some new songs, and they orchestrated a bunch of the old ones that he had done.
That's true. Yeah, actually, the thing is, I remember from the interview that originally they planned to, have somebody accompaniment. How is it in English? Accompanied him, because his assembly language knowledge was kind of, long time ago. And actually, it turned out that Rob said in the end, like, no, I want to do it my way, myself. I don't need any help. So he actually relearned assembler from that point.
Right.
Okay.
I think that is what you were actually referring to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. And it's also reminding me about it, because you said you sometimes did music on real instruments first and then like melted it down for the C64. So it's actually what people like Rob Hubbard did. I mean, there are versions of what was it? Yeah, of Formula One from the big synthesizer, and then he melted it down to fit on the C64.
Okay, yeah.
It's the same technique, actually.
You have to pare everything down to fit on the C64 because you've only got 3 voices to work with.
Right.
That's
but there are different approaches. I mean, for example, Jeroen Tel, he never did it on the synthesizer. He always did it natively on the machine. So it's a different approach. It's a different
right. But we saw with like Rob Lowe, not Rob Lowe, that's an actor.
Dave Lowe.
Dave Lowe. We saw with him, he had these big orchestral things in his head, and he had to shrink them down to work on the 64. So it was always kind of like what he heard in his head was not what the 64 ultimately came out with.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really remember the name, but a few years ago we played a gig with a chiptune. It was a Game Boy musician, and he composed his songs with notes on a letter before he realized it on the Game Boy. Right. There were the whole song on notes in front of him, and then he used the Game Boy. It's a strange thing.
You don't mean Trominal by any chance?
No, I don't mean Troninal. We never played with Troninal. Why? So, yes, but he's a different kind of chiptune artist. I think he's
Well, Jörg Ritterhaus is sometimes hard to catch.
Yeah,
we know him though, so just we can hook you up.
Yeah, I've seen the interview with him. Yes.
Between the interview and the first time asking him, there were 5 years in between.
He's very busy.
Yeah, very busy.
Yeah, and now 30 years later, we released a real chiptune tape. Ching!
Yeah.
This is the reason why I get in contact with you again.
True.
Because it never stops, chiptune never dies. Yeah.
And it's
we
a
have an-
cassette.
It's a cassette
Yeah.
with a C64 program on it.
Oh,
Cool
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, it was we had some minutes left, and I thought, what about a program on the tape?
get on
So
eBay
you
and see
can-
if I can find a data set.
So what kind of program is that? A kind of
This is a game. I had a little public domain games label years ago.
Oh, really?
I think so in 2000, and we released our the stuff we coded when we were little kids first. We combined it on a disc, the B soft in not B movie. We made B soft.
Oh yes,
Yes.
that is
and
how I got to know you first.
yes,
I
maybe
asked
yes,
myself,
yeah.
that
Yes,
was,
we had a
that
little
was-
article in the Commodore 64 magazine in the Go 64, Go 64.
yeah,
Yes, yes,
exactly.
there was a two-sided article about it, and it was stuff from 15, 16 years old boys about sex, about violence, and all this stuff, and we put it together on a disc just to shock the last Commodore 64 users, and we send it for free to them and said, hey, ask for
Nice.
reactions, and they were, wow, you're silly and something like that. And then we started coding again and made it more violent, more sex or something like that, and more funny. And then 6 or 7 discs later, 3-4 years later, we quit it and said, now we have done everything on that we can do. This was very funny, and one of these games, it's a hide and seek game. Do we call it hide and seek when people when kids hide themselves and another one seek for them? Yes, and you have to seek the Bsoft crew and our friends in a house, and you have to explore. It's like a text adventure with graphics and something, and you have to find all the people. That's all. And there is a little demo on it too. It's a shitty demo, but yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, in times like nowadays, not a lot of people releasing something.
Yeah.
So everybody is busy with reorganizing their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at how many projects have been postponed or cancelled or delayed in the last 2 years, so it's really good to see somebody saying like, I don't care the circumstances, I will release something.
Yes.
And I mean, music cassettes are really on a revival here.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
are. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, our very own Nick Vivid also made a music cassette release last year. So
I listened to it. It was great. I never heard about him, and I listened to it.
Right here.
Thanks
It's
for
actually.
yeah, exactly.
Nice guy. Nice videos also.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Great fashion sense.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. I noticed a tape automat, tape station, like a cigarette. How can you call it? Where you can pull cigarettes from.
A vending machine.
Yes,
A
and in
vending
Stuttgart.
machine for cassettes. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, and in
Nice.
Stuttgart, in southern Germany, there is a machine for tapes, and I noticed it, and I wrote to the guy who made this. Said I must have this tape in this machine, and now it's on the way, and in a few days you can pull it out in Stuttgart and get your Der Schubfladen tape in Stuttgart out of the machine.
Ooh.
Yes, very funny.
That's a
And
cool
also
distribution way.
Yes, and there are most of them are punk bands, but there is a chiptune tape between
Awesome.
punk bands now.
Yeah, I mean, I just learned 2 days ago that in America there are even still DVD vending machines.
Yes, I just saw one today.
I was like, wow, is that
Redbox.
still a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Redbox. Despite Netflix and all that, there are still vending machines for DVDs.
Yep.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
We live in times where they buy more vinyl records than CDs.
True. True.
Yeah. And we have the tape store day, the record store day, and we have a tape store day, international tape store day.
And some years back in UK there was a small revival for VHS tapes.
Yes.
But I'm not so sure that is wonderful. Looking at the quality of those tapes.
it makes sense.
There's something to be said though for it's I always had VHS movies on VHS, and just like with cassette, you get a glitch or like a crinkle in the tape, and it's like there are songs that I remember from cassette that I had on from albums I had on cassette where it's like I listen to it now on Spotify or on whatever I'm listening to it on, and it's like I expect to hear this like bloop. That does, I expect to hear this. Yeah, I expect to hear this error, or I expect to see this. I watch this thing, and I expect to see like the color disappear and come back, and something weird go on. And it doesn't happen, and there's something to be said for that, like unique, like this is your version of the movie or your version of the song.
Yes.
Same thing with records. People are all about the records because when you're listening to it, it's an experience that is totally unique to yourself.
Yeah.
Because no other record will sound exactly like your record.
Yeah, even the scratches and everything you will miss when you never heard it in another way.
Right.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, and that's we also made vinyl records on our label years ago. It's nice to have it. We also made CDs or something like that. But the last two releases were cassettes because it was very funny to produce a cassette in this time.
Yeah,
it's funny. So, and yes, and we sold a lot of them. Maybe 20 or 30.
Oh. Hey, that's not bad.
I mean, look at some game cartridges that weren't sold very much, and now there are high prices on eBay. Look at Chris Hülsbeck CDs, the early ones.
Yes.
You can't afford buying them,
Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah. And lots of soundtracks from video games.
Exactly.
When you want to get the CD, it's priceless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Priceless.
Priceless. Unpayable. Not priceless. Unpayable.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I think the physical media is having a revival at the moment because I think the people are fed up with streaming because it's like too much. You have too much to choose from when you go to Spotify or Deezer or stuff like that. Yeah. But when you choose the physical way, then this is a more kind of collector's item that you put some love and dedication in it, and I think this is what makes it so interesting these days because you go away from this oversaturation from the Spotify and stuff like this.
Yeah. And you cannot stream a nail like that on a CD.
Okay.
It's not. You can stream the music, but you cannot hurt when you hear it.
Right.
You cannot hurt yourself.
All right.
Yeah.
True. It's safer. Yeah, but I have to admit, I only deal with Deezer and such services when something in our podcast directory entry is broken. But I'm always the one like, hey, the description is broken or something.
I mean, streaming services are very convenient, and it's amazing that you can listen to every music ever made. But I think you can easily get lost in the pool of everything, and so when you choose a particular physical item, then it's more like it's a more conscious choose of item than getting lost in a pool of
Yeah.
much
But it's a
stuff.
good way, But it's a good way if you explore something new and you aren't able to buy it because it comes from US or something like that. It's a good way to get into it deeper into in contact with the music and something like that.
Yeah.
But normally when I listen to something on Spotify or whatever, and more than 2 or 3 times, I try to buy it online. But sometimes it hurts because shipping price from USA is very, very.
It
And-
doesn't get
and-
cheaper
yeah.
anymore.
Exactly.
No,
And then VAT, customs, and all that stuff added to it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like when you buy a $2 item from the USA, then you get charged like €6 from the German post.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
handling. That's also another thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And shipment is $38.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. The postal service prices in America are pretty steep. You know.
Yeah, like everything from outside of the European Union, you get charged like ridiculous amounts of money to import stuff at the moment.
You have to buy 50 records at the same time, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And this way, we almost covered an hour already. It felt to me like 5 minutes. Felt to me like
seriously.
5 minutes.
Oh, no, it's been 22 minutes.
22 minutes.
22
Oh,
minutes?
yes. 22
Okay.
minutes.
Only been
For
22.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I was
you're
looking
counting
at the
wrong.
wrong counter. I was looking at the
Okay.
all time.
I can tell you something about the new release and who's on
please.
it. Who's on it? It's normally I'm a very international guy and release stuff from all over the world, but on this was in cooperation with Back to Newcastle. You know, Back to Newcastle, the chiptuner, and he made to download compilations, German chiptune compilation, called a German from Germany. And he asked me if we want to do the third one as a haptic release, and I said yes, but I don't want to. In the title it shouldn't be this German thing, so we limited it on to German chip musician, or not micro musician and trash lo-fi musician, and called it Der Schubfladen. It's the first release we made was also a Schubfladen. It was a vinyl with four bands on it, and this is Der Schubfladen on tape. And so we have just a micro music compilation from Germany, and then there is a Kid Knorke, Betty Blue Screen. It's a Game Boys gegen Rechts, Game Boys against right. British is their motto, and we have Poly and Frames on it, and Vault Kit. You know Vault Kit. I think you know you talked about it in the interview with Tony.
Pretty cool Game Boy musician, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And Callisto Ghost is a newcomer. Back to Newcastle had a track on it. And Klirre and Melted Moon, maybe you know
Melted Moon,
yes.
Of course.
It's on it, yes.
Them,
yeah. Lego Luft is a more like reggae on chiptunes, and Lucky Tunes, and the Mad Bitter. He makes this hard stuff more hard on two Game Boys, and we have DI Glitch. It's normally he's a VJ for our parties in 8 Poly parties, and he's also a musician. And and STN. There is this a joke that we there is STN. It's a guy from Russia, I think. and he's not from Germany, so the whole concept is destroyed with the last track. We thought it would be funny, so and
Okay.
yeah, and Dante's DJ, some newcomers, some well-known names, and yeah, it's a very good dynamic compilation because it goes up, down. It's hard, then it's silent, and yeah, you can listen to it the whole tape from start to the end.
Now a question to you music experts. You mentioned at the beginning that this album also contains lo-fi music. But I
Yes.
always thought lo-fi music has nothing to do with strip music. It's a different kind of music, or am I wrong? Perhaps explain the difference, because perhaps I don't know the difference.
Yeah, you can. I think you can make chiptunes and being lo-fi, and you can be lo-fi and using chiptunes. But chiptuner is in my opinion, is a nerd with his Game Boy or C64 or Atari, and he makes music with his old computer stuff. But lo-fi music combines maybe new beats with chip tunes and maybe a guitar or something like that. A real chip tune doesn't use any other toys than his computer, I think.
Except if the computer uses digital samples, then sometimes they have.
Then it's allowed. Most the fat beats of the Game Boy musicians are all samples. It's sampled on a Game Boy. It's
4 kilohertz.
Yes, 4 kilohertz.
So your compilation is a mix of kind of different systems like Game Boy, C64, and
Atari is on it, and
but also in the mix with some real instruments or synthesizers, or
sometimes, normally, most of them or lots of them also use VST plugins, and it sounds like chip tunes, but it isn't chip tunes.
This is the old discussion.
Yes. This is a no-go on real chiptune events. Maybe that's the whole reason why my own band, Naomi Sample and the Go-Go's, isn't playing on real chiptune events very often, because we just use the sounds. I also played the solos with a real Commodore 64, but the beats sometimes come from a fat song from French House guys, and I stole it by sampling it or something. So,
I see sometimes those YouTube videos where people use VST plugins for NAS music or SID music, and then people are commenting, but can you do this song on a real machine?
Yes. Here, a very well-known artist, chiptune artist from Finland, Desert Planet.
I've heard of it.
Yes, some friends of us, we have been on tour with them sometimes. I think they never used a chiptune machine like Commodore 64 or Atari. It's all sampled. It's all VST. It sounds like chiptune. But for the normal user, music fan, it's strange to hear the sounds and not strange to see someone who's pushing out the most of a limited machine. This is nerd stuff from the retro scene, from the real coda scene or something like this. And there are two different scenes, I think. There's this coda thoughts and this music thoughts. And I am a fan of both, and that's why I say, what the fuck. It sounds great. The guy is a cool guy, and the song is really good. That's the last reason. I think about when I say it's good or it's not good.
Interesting. I wasn't aware that you are internationally so much working on the cooperation side with other artists from other countries. I totally wasn't aware about that. Interesting.
Yeah, when we started all these things with Naomi Sample and the Go-Go's, it was in 2004. It was a very international because there was maybe you know it micromusic.net .org.net. It was a platform for micro musicians, and it was a very good network. And when you have been part of the network and had an account, you played with different bands from different countries, and they invited you, and that's how it started. And our first gig, and when I didn't thought about playing gigs with chiptunes, was in Brussels, in Belgium. And the second was in Netherlands, and the third also in Netherlands. And then we started about thinking, hey, we can also play in Hamburg or at home in Lüneburg or something like that. And so, but we all already had the connection to the international people, and then it started that they heard, hey, you play chiptune shows, can you invite us to Germany? And then we invited, I can and go to 80. It's a very well-known chip museum. We invited him to Hamburg and Lüneburg. Lüneburg is a little town in northern Germany where I live. And so we known here at Desert Planet, and said, hey, come to us. It would be a Sunday, but some people will come to your show, and when you're on tour and you need a show on Sunday, you take everything you can get, because no one is that silly to organize something on Sunday. But we had a lot of students which also are able to party on Sunday. So and then we had the Sputnik Booster and the Future Posers. Maybe you know them. They were well known in France, and so we have been on tour with some French guys. The second time we played on tour, and then we had some shows in Hamburg with the Bondage Fairies from Sweden. They are also a band with guitars and bass, but also chiptunes. It's also this lo-fi style more. And we had some cooperations with Pocket Master from Basel, and so we had a network. And after we played with them all several times, we destroyed the whole network, and now we just play in Hamburg.
Did it just happen that way? I think it just happened this way, right?
No,
you didn't really destroy the network on purpose or something.
No, we and some other things destroyed the network. We all got jobs with we have to do lots of things for, and
Life.
I got kids. I had kids at home.
Yeah.
Other things destroyed it all. Now we just play as when we have a free. When our woman at home say yes, you have a free weekend to play a show. That's the whole.
It's really fun
whole
that
story.
It's really fun that you mentioned micro music, because I think this was I don't know if they're still around. Are they? Or?
No, yes, I have been on the site a few weeks ago. It still runs, the system, but there is no one online. When in 2004 you got on MicroMusicNet, it's something like Facebook for chiptune musicians.
Absolutely.
And there were 100 people online, maybe 50 or 100. But now you go
before social networking was a thing.
Yes, but now there's no one online on it, but it still runs. So we all can restart it if we meet there. But
maybe.
It doesn't. Yes.
I remember around 2000 or 2001. This was also one of the first music networks I was visiting when I was still very unprofessional with my music. I was learning a lot from the other artists, and I really enjoyed it there. And also one of the first real cool parties I've been to was also a micro music party in Hamburg around 1999 or 2000. I was still in school. And
do you know who played there?
I think Bodenständig.
Yes. Pass auf. Now it's funny. Now, pass auf. Bodenständig. When you mention him, I have to show his record
Yeah.
because I love him very
Legends.
much. Dragan Espenscheid.
Oh, legend.
It's a legend. He also has lots of tracks in the High Voltage Sid collection.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. 9 tracks in the High
Cool.
Voltage Sid collection
Awesome.
under another name, the Naomi Sample. But no, I
Cool.
don't find the Dragan.
But what is the other name? What is the other name? Mike Witschi?
No, Mr. Joker. That was my coder
Mr.
name.
Joker.
Basically,
Ooh,
Mr.
okay.
Joker. Yes, I was 13 when I got this name, and it was. It started. I named myself in high school as Mr. Joker on summer games or something like that, and then I made music and I took the same name. Here's a Bodenständig 2000. I also have it on vinyl. I collect chiptune vinyl records, and it's very. This is the first guy who bought the first release of Musikfladen online. Yes, when I made the first record, he was the first guy who bought it on my shop.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
And, yeah. Dragan Espenscheid. And do you know who also plays it? Firestarter? Maybe Firestarter?
I'm sure Firestarter played, but I think he was very active around early 2000s, and but I don't remember so much. I was like 17 years old, still in school, when I've been to my first chiptune party in Hamburg, and but it was actually pretty huge scene in Hamburg back then,
and maybe it was on the Golden Pudel Club.
No, it was somewhere Sternschanze, Hamburger Botschaft.
Okay.
It was pretty huge. A couple
was a
of
nice
people who were there, and I was pretty impressed as a kid.
Yeah. I was a big fan too when it started.
Yeah,
So,
amazing parties.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sure.
I see you are going down the memory lane together.
You guys in Europe had such cool had chiptune parties, man. I remember the closest thing that we had in the U.S. that I recall is being on Q-Link, and they had this thing called Super Q that would let you play music through the thing, and so you'd go into a chat room and they'd play a song, and it was kind of guess that song because they were all they're not SIDs in the way that we think of like music made for demos and whatnot. These are like .mus files. They sound terrible. And even though okay, this is an interpretation of Toto's Africa. You never know. There's no, and everyone's guessing different things. And you never get it right because it doesn't sound anything like the original song. But that's the closest thing I can remember to have going to a chiptune party.
No, there are chiptune festivals in the US. There are real chiptune festivals, well paid from the government.
Oh,
yes.
Really, you have government paid chiptune festivals in the US?
Yes, there are. I think about the title of this. We have been invited there, but we had to pay the flights by ourselves, and that's why we said no, we cannot play there. Yeah. No, I don't remember the name.
Maybe you mean MacFest or stuff like this?
No.
Okay.
I don't know, but it quit maybe 5 years. It have been happening since 2015 or 16. Every year, a big
Interesting.
festival. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess if we Google it, we can find it or something.
Yes, I think so too. Who's the fastest in Googling chiptune festival?
I think HJ is already Googling it.
The Blip Festival?
Yes, the Blip Festival. 2 or 3 days, and there are 20 musicians playing in 2 days, and they have lots of money for paying everyone because they get
They unfortunately stopped in 2012.
2012. Okay, it's 9 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, it ran from 2006 to 2012.
Okay, yeah, but it was very fat. So some of my friends played there. Do you know Graham, and this Atari musician from London? Gareth Morris, Graham, and and he played there several times, and it's also a friend of us. We had 3 or 4 German and Europe tours with him. Very nice guy, Graham. The best, I think. Yeah,
I think he's still the best Atari musician. Still.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think of music when I think of Atari. I think of bleep bloops.
Well, no, the pokey ship was pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Sure.
Sometimes I cannot hear a difference between SID and pokey, but I'm not good in getting the differences of chips.
Yeah.
So,
well, you are lucky that you don't have my ears.
Okay.
I remember discussing with HJ how the SID sound doesn't sound like from a real SID, and he's like, I hear no difference, and I'm like, I hear the difference. So
wait, what were we talking about?
Well, we had some at some point we had a discussion about SID emulation. And how well it advanced, and I was like, no, I don't think so, because I can still hear the difference.
Oh no, you can definitely hear the difference, because every SID doesn't sound well. I think my argument to that wasn't necessarily that I couldn't tell the difference. It was that each SID sounds differently from every other SID. No SID sounds the same. So the emulated SID is within the parameters of what you would get from a SID. Yeah, it doesn't sound exactly like what the SID should sound like, but it sounds like what certain SIDs would sound like.
Okay.
I would challenge that. But anyway, if you mention so much artists and musicians, how about a cooperation with Welle Erdball? Never happened?
Oh, no, it never happened. I know they are in another dimension of being musician. They were known. But a friend of us played several times with them. It's from Kiev. Industrial music from Germany, from Lüneburg, Kiev. And they played with Welle Erdball several times. And I asked him how it was. And after he told me how it was, I changed my mind to play with them.
Okay.
No, they are very arty, and they know who they are. We don't care who we are.
So nice description. We all know what is meant now.
Well, I mean, we have to stay neutral here, because we had them as a podcast guest already.
Yes, but I like their music very much, and I also like the style and this cold 80s robot. I love this arty stuff, but I also know that when we played with bands who are very arty, it was not fun for them to play with us, because we are Caspers. We are music Caspers. Music Caspers, trash and punk and something like that, and it's not the best combination.
That's the thing. Sometimes
to destroy their show.
Sometimes, as a musician, you get too much sucked into your own vision and into your own concept, and sometimes you just can't make yourself. We say it in Germany, you can make yourself locker machen.
Mach dich mal locker.
Easy.
Relax, man, relax.
And I think that's a common problem for a lot of musicians. I have to admit, sometimes I'm also lost in my vision, but I have to make myself locker too sometimes.
But Welle Erdball made they supported the whole C64 scene very, very much. They had lots of good cooperations with coders, with graphic people. The Commodore 64 never dies, because Welle Erdball every several years remember that the Commodore 64 is still a nice machine. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
so,
interesting. I mean, during the interview, I learned that Hani, the leader and singer of Belle Erdball, is actually also an assembler coder. I wasn't totally aware of that. I didn't
Yes.
even know. So was actually something I learned because I thought like, okay, they made some albums on the Z64. They probably got some help. Like, no, Hani did it himself. But yes, saying as you said. Yeah, they are from a different universe.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it this way. They had a lot of changes in the members of Welle Erdball, and I remember I was asking Hani about that during the interview, and he said like the members they don't matter, you know. It's all about the show.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, Erdball is a part of the big story about chiptunes, and there are some nice big stories about chiptunes we could talk about. Do you know that Bodenständig 2000 and Electro Girl were chip musicians which released on the label of FX Twin? And when this happened, the whole scene thought this is the start of something real big shit and they made this trash record on FX Twin's label. It's very funny with samples of German Reflex, of German Der Tag lebt, Johnny Walker kommt. They destroyed the whole music with this album, and then there was a big moment when Beck, the musician Beck, don't call me, I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me this way? Noticed chiptunes and asked some chiptune musicians to make a remix EP for him, and this was a very big moment when some of them 8-bit, the 8-bit rapper 8-bit, and some other made some Beck songs in a new way. And everybody thought, yeah, this is a fat beginning of something new in chiptune scene. And then also there was a big moment when Malcolm McLaren, who discovered the Sex Pistols, noticed chiptunes and talked about it maybe 1 year without, everybody thought he made chiptune because he talked about it that much. And then the last moment I think is when Kraftwerk original, when the Kraftwerk compilation came out, Kraftwerk said yes, do this, and supported the whole stuff. And it was a big moment too. So, but I don't remember any other highlights about. It was always underground.
So I already see this episode is called going down the history of chip music with Naomi Sample or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Because we are learning the up and ups of the chip musicians and the history and albums and how it happened to be. Amazing.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but maybe it's
seriously.
too much for one episode.
I mean, there's never too much. I mean, the longest interview we ever did was 5 hours actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a historical interview, and I think the longest podcast was probably 3 hours and a half.
Yeah.
So we had some very long ones, you know.
You are the Titanic of podcasts.
Yeah.
No, not really.
We've also done a couple of 2-part episodes, so.
Right, and not really. There is this podcast called Retro Kompott, and their shortest episodes are like 5 hours, and the longest are like 13 hours or something.
Yeah.
And it was just about joysticks.
Yeah. So Retro Kompott is like they are the kings of lengthy podcast episodes.
Wow.
Although their podcasts are not so much podcasts as much as they're just bunch of people just bullshitting for hours upon hours upon hours.
Yeah.
Having been there.
Yeah. Yeah, but what we hear here today is actually part of history. That's amazing, you know.
Yeah, my part of history. I'm just noticed some things. I know people who can tell the whole story if you want in your podcast.
Yeah, but Dennis
Yes.
Dennis always had some moments like, yeah, I remember that, and I
Yeah.
have been present there. So
Dennis,
I was still young, but I've been there.
yeah, you had and
Yes.
you're still there. You still go on chip. Yeah, when you've been on 8 Poly, it
Yeah,
cannot be
but I think in general, when I remember my party history, I think I started with chiptune parties, but then I did the classical clubbing route, like going to techno events in Hamburg and
Love Parade.
staying up. Love Parade, of course, yeah, it was a thing, and staying up the whole weekend and partying, and I think the early 2000s were pretty big clubbing years in Hamburg, especially, and probably the chiptune scene kind of disappeared or like was absorbed by the clubbing scene in the early 2000s in Hamburg, and so I have a more techno clubbing background than chiptune party background. But I have the feeling that pure chiptune parties are coming back right now. Because clubbing wasn't a thing the last 2 years. We know why. We don't know why.
True.
Yeah.
But
True.
I have the feeling that concerts and more concert events are coming back, and I know from many people that they're also planning chip. They don't call it chiptune anymore. They call it like retro game.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I have the feeling that the chip revival is here.
Maybe
be nice. Micro music has to come back. Why not?
Would be nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe then, yes, your part.
Sorry? Yeah.
Maybe,
you said?
Maybe Robin Stamm in Hamburg is back again with his 8 Poly parties then.
Yeah. I've been to several parties from him, and that was always amazing. Always.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
No problem. I just want to mention, as a part of this interview, you actually offered an exclusive download of best of Musikfladen, including 14 tracks and a D64 game from 17 years of Musikfladen label history.
Yes, I thought it's kind of sad to talk about a label and the music if you cannot listen to it. And I listened to all the stuff again. We just released 10 records in 15 years, I think, or 16. It's 1.5 years between the releases. And I've chosen the 14th best, I think, really best tracks on Musikfladen. And you can download it from our site if you're interested. It's not very... It's www.musikfladen, fladen.de/bestof.zip.
Exactly.
Best of zip, yes.
Yeah.
We'll put a link to that in the description down
there. We will, of course, definitely. And perhaps also put some music into it so people can actually listen to it.
Oh, hey now. Nice. Yeah. Now you're getting fancy.
We are getting fancy here. It's totally amazing. Thanks for this offer. It's great. I mean, honestly, this evening I was totally relying on Dennis because I didn't know where we would go to, and now we go to a whole history lesson, and that's always great because especially here at Scene World we love to preserve stories and history.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Dennis, we should talk another evening about all the stuff
we can make
seen
a
and
compote of
yeah.
this stuff.
But the problem is retro compots are mostly in German. Yeah.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
probably make a 20 hours history talk, like.
Well, maybe 1 hour about every musician we have seen on stage.
So, by the way, why did you call yourself Naomi Sample? What's the story?
I'm just a friend of this word. Naomi Campbell and Naomi Sample.
I thought
it's that
I see
easy.
what you did there.
I also have a Facebook group and perfect names for micro musician and chip tuners and chip rockers. There we have one joke. I can read some joke names of this. I have to go online. So have a minute. Perfect names. Blah, blah, blah. It's very funny. I love this kind of humor. I still love it. Perfect. Perfect names for nerd rockers, chiptune artist, and retro musician. And there are lots of very good combinations of real names and nerd stuff like Kylie Mono, Nerd Cobain.
Oh Lord.
That's a name. Sometimes I use it. Face No More. Face with PHASE. Where are the good ones?
Are there any?
Acido Domingo and Jennifer Envelopes.
Okay.
God.
Nice.
New Kids on the 66 4 blocks. Samantha Fax. Proxy Midnight Runners. And there are Trafo Deutscher, it's for the German one. Deepesh Load. Hubert 4K, also Hubert K, Hubert 4K.
Okay.
And you can read maybe 500. Right set thread. Read Manuel Neuer. Na gut. Naja, Proxy Midnight Runners. Petsky Kensit. Oh yeah, this maybe that's it. There are good ones. So USBGs. The USBGs. One of my favorite is Bruce Print Screen.
Okay.
And you can join the group. You have a nice evening with reading all this shit. Yes, and yeah.
Holy shit.
And that's the Naomi Sample. No, but there is another story about Naomi Sample. I talked about it in a newspaper years ago, and I was a big fan of Alice Cooper when I've been 14 or 15 years old. And Alice Cooper told in an interview that he gave himself a woman name because his father was this homophobe guy, and he wants to kick ass. His father was giving himself a name of a woman. That's why Alice Cooper gave himself the name Alice Cooper. And the same, I was fan of this stuff. Saying my father says every you have to be a real man and something like that. And he says, no, my name is Alice Cooper for the rest of my life. And without being gay or something, just to say, no, that's not the way I live. And Marilyn Manson did the same because of the same reason. And that's,
I hope your family is better. I hope
my family is better. My father was also a real guy and something. I thought it was a good thing to give myself a name of a woman, and there was also a joke in it, and that's the whole story. So
Okay.
yeah, there's some gender fuck in this name too. And
Yeah.
it was very funny when I was booked to Brussels the first time, and they all thought I'm a woman. And when I came there with a bus full of boys, and they looked like, ooh. Yeah.
The funny thing is when I read your name on the lineup from the party, I thought that you're a woman too.
Yeah. So no, I'm Alice Cooper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Alice in Wonderland.
yeah. Alice. Yes. Yeah. Pablo E. Scrollbar. Johnny Cash.
It goes on and on.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was his page called?
Om Travolta.
Oh,
Perfect names for nerd rockers. If you're looking for perfect names for nerd rockers at Facebook, you will find it. Q Bird Selby.
Oh,
Okay.
Q-Bird. Who doesn't know it?
iPad Einstein. Oh God.
Nice. It gets better.
Cynthia Rawford. Yeah, Claudia Schifter. Oh, one of my own best is Celine Medion.
Claudia Schifter. Claudia Schifter, I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nino Amiga, Bob DIY Land. This is not getting
Lord.
better. We should stop this.
Yeah, they are not.
Yes.
Yeah, man,
Yes.
amazing.
Man.
Wow. Wow.
What's very funny. Talking about anything but not about the label.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Oh, we learned a lot. We learned a lot.
Yes,
Sure.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from you when I've been looking through your whole last 10 episodes in one evening.
You
No,
did?
not one.
Okay.
No, when we talked to each other, I said, a long time I didn't watch your stuff, and then I maybe 10 episodes in 3 days or something like that. It was.
Yeah.
I learned a lot too. Yes.
You mean
Thanks,
especially the podcast, or what do you mean?
Your online, your visual things. I listen to the podcast sometimes while driving to work and back. But I watched some your interviews and something like that.
The historical stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had some really, really fun ones, especially early on when we had the Siri voices. That was totally like talking to your own iPhone. That was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So
they're all fun.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was very nice.
Very nice talking to you.
Bye.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, bye. Cheers.
Woo.